So when it comes to permitting, people think, hey, especially if we're redeveloping a landfill that's raised land for renewable energy projects, no need to do a wetland delineation. I just wanted to bring it up first and foremost. Yes, you still need to do a wetland delineation for even landfill solar projects because it is important to identify if there are any water features, and it's important to just to confirm the absence of it as it is to confirm the presence. And if they are present, it's important to differentiate, are they natural versus man-made? So for some of the projects that we have worked in the past, we have all delineated wetlands on top of the cap because it was not being maintained properly. So the picture to the left is actually a wetland that you see on a landfill cap. And that would be considered a natural feature because it has been created over time. But it's also just as important to identify all of the man-made features such as stormwater drainage, such as swales, to at least clear them with regulatory agencies like U.S. Army Corps and get their buy-in that, yes, these are man-made, these are not wetlands, these are not natural streams. These can be disturbed if needed during the construction of a solar array. And what's also a little unexpected is these landfills, especially if they have proper vegetation coverage, they can serve as a suitable habitat for protected species. So, for example, if there is a suitable grassland habitat, you can expect to find protected grassland birds like the northern harrier or short-eared owl. And it would be important to clear them as those not being at the site or perform a survey to confirm that or to just perform a habitat suitability assessment just to convey to the regulatory agencies that those grassland birds will not be impacted. In this picture, you can see such grassland habitat, but if you look off into the distance, you can also see that this landfill site is surrounded by trees. So if you are planning to cut trees to avoid any shading concerns, you also need to screen the site for any protected bats and be mindful of any tree clearing window restrictions that may be imposed on the project during construction. And then, like I mentioned earlier, if there are some water bodies that is found either on the landfill or in the immediate vicinity, there are other wildlife that we should be concerned about that could utilize those water bodies as habitats, such as the Blanding's turtle. So it is still important to screen these contaminated formerly industrial sites for protected wildlife because even if they have been disturbed in the past, they can still serve as suitable habitat for some protected species. Aside from the ecological concerns such as wetlands and wildlife, there are other significant permitting tasks associated with these landfill and brownfield solar projects, one of which is zoning. So it's quite possible that the municipality that you're working in may not currently permit any renewable energy projects as it is currently. So you may have to rezone or request a zoning variance for the projects. And it would be also important to also coordinate with the state and the regional authorities to make sure that the change in brownfield use or the solid waste facility permits have been appropriately modified along with post-closure care plan for landfills as well as site management plans for brownfields have been updated to account for the solar array or another renewable energy project that may be now sited within those contaminated lands. Other permitting considerations to account for are make sure that you still, even though it's disturbed, clear the project with regulatory agencies such as the State Historic Preservation Office and the Federal Aviation Agency. And it's also important to discuss the decommissioning as part of permitting with the municipalities, as well as interconnection approvals with the local utility.